tonight we're going to talk about some fall techniques we can use right away. So we just don't want you to take notes or hear theories. We want something you can use tonight. Stuff that you can text out right away. So if you never joined us on a Zoom call before, number one, I know the schedule can be sporadic, depends on my travel schedule, of course, business schedule, very important. So we try to fit things in at least twice a week at the 12 and 3 o'clock spot on my time, as well as GMT time should be in the afternoon or evening. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. A couple of quick reminders. These calls are not recorded, so feel free to ask any question via the chat function, and we'll get those answered for you right away. You're looking at about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at the absolute most. We want to be able to get your questions answered and be out of here within 25 minutes because time is the most valuable asset. So what we're going to do is do a quick screen share. This will be able to give you some notes. And if you can't take notes, we always send up a follow-up email tonight so you have some notes. Of course, it won't be as detailed, but at least kind of remind you of some of the things that we'll be talking about. I always try to start off with a quick tip, and this is a quick tip that I actually took from Wes Linden, great guy, and a fabulous author as well. And a lot of times people will say no, and we can say, oh, well, it's a no, not right now, and maybe we didn't explain it, or, their lives are busy, so they're not interested whether we're talking to somebody about our product, service, and or opportunity. Sometimes the timing is just not right. So instead of trying to convince them or continue to talk or, oh, I didn't tell them about this bonus and I didn't tell them about this benefit of the product. Sometimes it's just not going to work no matter what we say. So it's so much easier to leave with a positive outcome. So you let people know, and the two beauty of the words is I understand. If you say I understand, people put their guard down and say, oh my goodness, they're on my side, they understand me. To say I understand, timing is everything. Would it be okay to touch base with you in a couple of weeks? Two things, of course, if you say I understand, they're going to say, okay, great. They're not going to continue to try to sell me. But two, it gives us the opportunity to say, oh, well, they understand me. And, life may change in the next couple weeks. Sure. Yeah. Feel free to contact me the next couple weeks. You never know what could happen. I may, whatever your product or service is, I may gain some weight. I may want to, look younger, or, hey, I may need another income source. So if you use these two sentences, people will remember you versus, oh my goodness, they just kept talking and they weren't really listening, that the timing just was not right for me. So something quick you can jot down, if not also send it out in the email. So really, the four things that we'll quickly cover tonight is really just getting our mindset, a couple things of what to say. We're going to put it into action via stuff we can use tonight. And I always challenge people, if you do this tonight, you're going to see results. And most of the time, people that do it will see results right away. And that's really what we want. We just don't want to give you theories. We want to actually have it put in action. Of course, I'll give you some resources. So you can have some additional, Facebook groups and Facebook pages that you can learn a little bit more about, as well as ask any questions that you weren't able to ask tonight. Okay, so number one, mindset. A lot of times we go and do workshops, and I love doing workshops on follow-up because most people will not follow up. And I always ask people, I say, how many people in the audience joined the very first time they heard about their company? And it's always 10% or less that raise their hand and say, oh, I joined the first time. So if there's 60 people in the room, it's 6 people. If there's 100 people in the room, it's 10 people. If there's 1,000 people in the room, it's 100 people or less that said, oh my goodness, the first time I heard about this, I joined right on the spot. But what happens is you say, okay, the other 90% were somehow followed up, or whether they followed up on themselves or their sponsor followed up, or they just happened to run into the person at the grocery store and said, oh my goodness, I've been meaning to call you, whatever it is. 90% of distributors on average needed at least a second exposure. So let me put this uh, into another term. If you don't follow up, your group will be 90% less than what it is. Or let's look at it this way: if you follow up, your group will be 10 times the size. Or if you talk to your group and say, can you follow up as well, it could be 10 times the size potentially, because you follow up. So it's kind of like this really weird statistic um, that people do, because the reason people don't follow up, of course, is fear. They say, oh my goodness, what am I going to say? what if what if they don't remember me? What if they're somebody I know and I say something awkward, or they're a family member, or they're a good friend of mine, or oh, what if they block me? We always have this fear. So my thing with fear is, if you give people something easy to do and end up with a positive result, the fear goes away. The fear is normally, if you did something wrong or you think you're going to do something wrong, that's where fear comes from. But if you give people something easy to do and they get a positive result, then it's so much easier to do things. Now, what are we going to tell people? Well, that's what we have at the next slide. One other story that I do like to share with new distributors, and this is something that you could do in person. You could change up the story. It really doesn't matter to me. I'll give you a framework of the story, and you can change and do whatever you would like, completely do it, but do something to let distributors know that they're going to have to follow up. Because what happens is they say, oh my goodness, it took the new distributor at least 2 exposures to join. Could be 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. They get so excited that they may talk to somebody and they say no. But they forget that people join on the follow-up. So you want to keep their mind logical and remember to say, hey, it took you a while to join the company. let me show you. Let me get your mind straight for that. Of course, you really don't use those words. But here's what I do. I share the Apple Store story. Now, Apple, not the fruit. Apple, like the computers, the phones, the iPads, the laptops, things like that, iMacs. I just happen to use Apple. You can use Samsung, you can use Google, it doesn't really matter. But this is a story that I use. Feel free to shorten it. Imagine if you're going to open up an Apple computer store. Now, it's probably going to cost you more than $1,000. It's probably going to cost you, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But assuming that you had the money and you're able to own an Apple store, all you want to do is start. You say, oh my goodness, I'm going to get started right away. Monday morning, you open up the doors to your Apple store. Now, the first person that walks into the mall doesn't even look inside of your store. They just keep walking. The second person that walks into the mall looks inside, peeks their head in, looks left, looks right, and keeps walking. The third person that walks into the mall walks in, spends 5 minutes tinkering around with the computers and the phones, and then walks out. And the fourth person that finally walks into the mall goes in, spends 30 minutes asking questions about the computers, asking questions about the phones, asking questions about pricing, is getting really detailed information, and then says, you know what, not today, I'll be back, and then walks away. So 4 people, and you go, oh my goodness, forget it, I quit. Nobody wants a computer, nobody wants a phone, nobody wants an iPad, nobody wants anything that Apple has to offer, I quit. Now, chances are you're not going to do that. Number one, because you spent a ton of money. But number two, you say, you know what? I've never seen an Apple store go out of business, so maybe I should just stick with it. Or, the person that walked in and walked out within, 5 seconds, they were probably just going into the mall to buy some pretzels or buy a suit, or buy something really quick to get on with their day. And the person that spent all that time asking questions, they're probably going to buy something. Today just wasn't their day. So you would stay in business. The only reason you're going to go out of business if you shut the doors, because you know that every single person is eventually going to buy something from my store that's interested. So really the only reason you're going to fail is if you quit. And it's the exact same thing with our network marketing business. If um, if you quit, if you the only way you're going to fail is if you quit. If you just stick with it and do the right things and let people know that you're open for business, then you'll be successful. So that's the story that I use. Feel free to shorten it, do whatever you need to do, but make sure that your distributor knows. Hey, it took you 2, 3, 4 exposures to get in. Let's not forget that when we're talking to our prospects. Okay, let's kind of get to the meat of the subject really quick. Is what to say. Now, obviously, you want to schedule them in. When I mean schedule them in, if you talk to somebody today is Wednesday. They say, I'm going to follow up with you in 48 hours. Can I call you on Friday? Schedule that. And whether you're using your phone or your computer, whether you're using a daytime or whatever it is, make sure to schedule it because we're busy. I'm busy. You're busy. You've got other stuff on your mind. For most of us, and I'd say that's probably 95%, it's not a full-time gig. So you have other obligations in your life. So make sure to schedule those in. I schedule in when I was part time. I schedule in when now that I'm full time. Just how it is. Anytime come out with a new product incentive, you can obviously text or email for it. But I want to kind of give you two things. Number one is what I call automatic follow up, and the second thing is something that we could follow up. We could use tonight, right away. It doesn't matter what time you're in, as long as it's not past 10 o'clock at night. I think you'll be okay with texting this out. So the first one is automatic follow up. Is somebody that you're talking to on the spot. This is something that I use. If they say no, not right now, it's not my thing, I'm unavailable. You say, okay, do me a favor. Oh, they say, okay, great. Yeah, I can do you a favor. Hey, do me a favor. The next time you get into your car and turn the key to go to work, just ask yourself, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Now, that's one personality. It's very easy, very yellow. And I'll kind of give you two other personalities that you can deal with now, that you can use. I personally don't use the next one, but for some people that are very direct personality, very red, they're okay with it. Another automatic follow-up is, hey, do me a favor. The next time you get into your car and turn the key to go to work, just ask yourself, is this really all I'm worth? Now, some people, they feel completely comfortable saying that. I don't, just not my thing. I'm a little bit more green. So I use mostly the next one is, hey, do me a favor. The next time you get into your car and turn your key to go to work, just ask yourself, is the stress really worth it? Or is there something else I could do? Now, what that does is that kind of puts them into an automatic follow-up cycle. So I say, they may not remember tomorrow. They may not remember in a couple of days. But one of these days, when they turn their key to go to work, they're going to remember you saying this. And that just is one of those things you can automatically follow up with at the end of your presentation. But let's get to something that we could use right away tonight. I use text messaging. The reason being is a lot of times people use the phone, but everybody has caller ID. And a lot of times people are just busy. Sometimes even if I know obviously I know who's calling my phone, but if I'm busy or I'm just not in the mood to talk, I won't answer my phone. A lot of times people will text like, hey, are you busy? Would you like to talk? And then I'll finally answer my phone. Most of the time I don't answer my phone. Do I agree with what the culture is? It doesn't really matter. The younger cultures, it's getting even worse, answering their phones right away. It doesn't matter my viewpoint. And what matters is that here's the situation. Here's how to deal with it. So if you're using the phone, terrific, but it's getting harder and harder. So I use text messaging. Why? Because it's quick, it's informal, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's something that's 100% deliverable, which is amazing versus emails that could get caught in spam filters and things like that if you're sending out mass emails. So here's something that you can text. Now, if they don't text back, it's 100% okay. But if you text this out tonight to 10 people, you're going to get a couple of responses. You may not get a sign up. You may not get an appointment right away, but you're going to get some sort of communication versus if you don't text it out. If you text out to 100 people, obviously you're going to get, at least 10 to 20 right away. But this is something that helps open up communication for people that you have talked to within a month, even up to 6 months. Honestly, if it's been within a year, this is 100% okay with. Now, sometimes you go, well, I don't really want to text everybody this. You can manipulate it a little bit, but this is what I send out to get response. Now, let me give you the psychology around it first. The first sentence is, I know you're not interested in our business. Now, there's going to be two sides to this. One side is the personality like me, where I say, oh, okay, salesman guard down, I can listen in. And some of the direct personalities, like the Reds, will say, oh my goodness, what do you mean I'm not interested? Let me take a look at it. And some people are extremely shy texting this out. It doesn't really matter. You're going to get them regardless of their personality. So that's the psychology around it. The second one is, can you do me a favor? And that's one of the things that you could slip in. So you're on there, you get them on their side, you can do me a favor, and then you insert your benefit. So an example is, hey, I know you're not interested in our business. Can you do me a favor? If you hear anybody wanting to earn some extra money, can you recommend me? So I'll repeat that again. And you can shorten this, but I don't really want to go way too long, because if you have to scroll through a text message, forget it. They're not going to respond. I know you're not interested in our business. Can you do me a favor? If you hear anybody talking about wanting to earn some extra money, can you recommend me? So that is something that every single person can use. Feel free to tinker with it, and that's about opportunity. And I'll kind of give you some of the other benefits to products and services. And if I didn't mention yours and you want me to come up with one in the next 5 minutes, feel free to just type it into the chat function what your product or service is. Really, what I want is the benefit of your product or service. Nobody really is interested in the product name or service name. They're really interested in the benefit of what they get. So another option is, I know you're not interested in business. Can you do me a favor? If you hear anybody wanting to lower their electricity bill, please let me know. So what I'll do is I'll actually skip over the first two sentences for time's sake. Are you not interested? Can you do me a favor? If you hear anybody wanting to lose weight, please let me know. If you hear anybody that wants to look younger, please let me know. If you hear anybody that complains about not getting a raise, please let me know. If you hear anybody wanting to eat a healthy breakfast and lose weight, please let me know. If you hear anybody that wants to get rid of wrinkles, please let me know. If you hear anybody that wants to wants luxury travel for the price of a Holiday Inn, please let me know. If you hear anybody that is tired of paying their electricity bill, please let me know. If you hear anybody that's tired of paying their credit card bills, let me know. So those are just some of the options. And feel free to go ahead and type in, oops, I turned off my video, to type in any of the product or service benefits, that if I haven't mentioned yours. What I'll do is, while I'm waiting for those, I will kind of give you a couple of resources. Obviously, BigAlBooks.com, you can download the Magic Word for Prospecting, as well as the Big Al Report. And we also have now put on our newsletter list. So I do a Tip Tuesday every Tuesday, and then you get it on Thursday, but you can go directly to our Facebook page and see those Tip Tuesday videos. Also, Network Marketing Questions, that is 100% generic resource that we put up, and obviously no pitching, but you can ask specific questions like, hey, I'm with an electricity company. How do I do blank? How do I follow up blank? Or here's my situation. You just can't mention your company name. And of course, obviously, we have the follow-up book that we have. So let's see. We have a couple of chats that came in. Okay, what are the words you follow up? A text after event, makeup, or non-toxic living. Okay. So in other words, a lot of times people have questionnaires, or they have stacks of business cards from a fishbowl, or things like that. So we all have tons of them because we go to events and they don't sign up on the spot. They're busy. They got other things going on. That's just how it is. So I think that's what we mean by vendor events, but it's really depends. It's all the same. Whether you meet them at a vendor event, whether you meet them in person at the grocery store, on an airplane, around the around the school, whatever it is, for makeup or non-toxic living. So my thing is always focus on what. Don't give them too much information because you forget they're kind of clueless to what we have to offer. So I would focus on one. So I'll give you two of them so you can kind of choose. Number one is makeup. I know you're interested in business. Can you be fair? Next time you hear somebody, wanting to look like a movie star and not a prostitute, please let me know. I know I kind of went too far on that one, but a lot of times people just don't know how to do makeup, and so that's always the big fear is hey, if you know anybody that would like to look 5 years younger, please let me know. People always want to look younger. They don't want to look cheap. They want to look younger. So it doesn't really matter the price of your product. Non-toxic living. Anybody that wants to have a healthy home, that wants to get rid of the toxic chemicals in their house, who wants to breathe freely without having to worry about what chemicals are in their house, without having to smell bleach in their house, things like that. So it's the same framework. I know you're not interested in their business. Can you do me a favor? So forth. Okay, that would like to get their will done. So I'm assuming that's like last will and testament. So like a legal service type thing. So really, people don't really want to think about taxes and death. So I don't bring it up. But a way around that, and I actually use a legal service. I'm a customer of a legal service. So if I was going to sell that, I would say, the two sentences, and say, hey, if you know anybody that doesn't want to worry about what's going to happen to them, what was the phrasing? If you know anybody that doesn't want to worry about if something happens to them, please let me know. Or that has kids that would like to be taken care of if something happens to them, please let me know. So a lot of times I don't use like will or taxes or death or things like that because people just really don't want to think about it. So we don't really use that terminology. Like if something happens to you, your kids will be taken care of. If something happens to you, your grandkids will be taken care of. If something happens to you, you don't have to worry. So that's really what they want to do. Cool. So we have a couple of minutes. I'll kind of go through a couple of resources. If you want to type in your product, service, benefit, um, type them in and we can hash those out really quick. So we do have the book, but let me. One thing with the network marketing questions group page, I'll just kind of go through some resources while we have about 3 minutes left here, 2.5 minutes left. Network marketing questions is you'll kind of get different viewpoints. So it's not just my viewpoint and the moderator's viewpoints. You get like some different viewpoints as far as different personalities asking the same question. There was one today that was about the price objection. Now I did this on a video. I think price is completely irrelevant. Perfect example is my wife drives a Lexus. We could have got a Toyota for cheaper. We could got anything for cheaper, really. But people buy on the benefits. It doesn't really matter if they want something so bad. Price is completely irrelevant. Now, I mean, I even do Zooms on this, but so you're going to get some different viewpoints in that group page. Let's see. Got a couple private chats. Thank you so much. But yeah, any last minute, we got about 1 minute left. So if anybody wants to type in their benefit of their product or service, go ahead and feel free to type it in now while we have a minute left. And with that, also, we will have the email sent out tonight. So you'll get that tonight with some of the notes. Okay, if anybody would like to have please let me know. Okay, that's terrific. Yeah, you typed it right in. I'm interested in business. Can you do me a favor? Next time you hear, if you know anybody that wants to have a free phone service, let me know. I mean, that gives their attention. Free phones. I mean, how much does this normally cost? A lot of money. Weight loss nutrition. If you know anybody that wants to lose weight, if you know anybody that wants to, nobody hates dieting, please let me know. Nutrition, I always go with number one, which is normally stress. If you have like a bunch of products out there, if you know anybody that ever gets stressed, please let me know. So the psychology really is like, oh my goodness, I want to lose weight. I want to have stress. I want to lower my electricity. I want to look younger. So it's a kind of a subconscious way. Yeah, we're going for referrals, but really we're kind of following up on them. Let's see. Yeah, Kangen. Well, I'm assuming that is alkaline water. So I know anybody that wants to drink wants to drink healthy water instead of chlorinated water. That wants to drink healthy water instead of sewer water. Just put that out there. Really. Okay, terrific. Pet health treat. Anybody that wants the healthiest pets on the block, please let me know. That wants to take care of their pets, please let me know. That loves their pets, please let me know. Things like that. Okay, conversation started. We get the. So, what are you doing after the conversation started? Okay, so yes, that's a great. Okay, let me do healthy coffee. Anybody that drinks coffee, let me know. Anybody that wants coffee that does X, that wants healthy coffee instead of acidic coffee that's ruining their bones, please let me know. So the conversation really is like, hey, I'm interested, or hey, my wife's interested, or whatever it is. So that's really like, okay, terrific. And here's a magical phrase. This is what I use, and a lot of people say, okay, here's this information, that information. My thing is terrific, awesome. What would you like to know next? Because they're like, oh, what's in it? How much does it cost? How do I get started? You never know what they want. So, there's going to be the greens. They're like, oh, what's in the ingredients? And there's going to be the blues, like, how do I buy it? So the magic phrase is, what would you like to know next? And that's really what's going to keep things going. So with that, everybody, we right at time. Thank you so much. We have another one in about 2.5 hours. So if you've just joined us a little bit late and so forth, I can join that one as well. We'll also send out the email to the entire list. So with that, have a great night, everybody. And go ahead and quickly end this. Good night, everybody.